Yo, what is going on, Geek Corner? This is your boy, Earthsmack, the Mad Scientist. Welcome back to the Orange Phoenix Media Channel and another episode of Saturday Morning Comics, man. I hope you guys had a happy new year. Hope you guys had a safe new year because it is now 2026, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 2026. Glad you guys are able to make it out to 2026 because 2025 has been a doozy. You know what I'm saying? 2025 been a doozy. But in the comic book space, in this channel right here, right now, things have been peachy. Things have been really, really good. Shout out to the new subscribers that are out there. Shout out to the new supporters that are out there. Shout out to our patrons. Shout out to my staff. When it comes down to the magazine and for this YouTube channel. So shout out to everyone involved, man, because we are currently sitting at 715 subscribers right now. You know what I'm saying? But these are genuine people. These are genuine subscribers, man. Like, I never want like that fluffy thing. I want people to have like an insatiable hunger for comic books, that love comic books, that love to read, that love to go to their LCS, love to get into the stories and like the content that I put out, and they actually give me some honest feedback. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people that are out there, especially in the social media space, that they're just here for a check. And thankfully, the people that I surround myself with, the people that I've come to know this past year are not that. These are genuine people that have a love for film. They have a love for comic books, love for pop culture, and love for our culture. You know what I'm saying? So very, very thankful for that. And I hope you guys had some blessings coming out of 2025 going into 2026 as well. And obviously, we got New Year's resolutions. I know you guys got New Year's resolutions, things that y'all want to do or whatever for the year. I can tell you something that actually helps out a little bit, right? So obviously you see in this background here, things have changed just a little bit from the beginning of us starting this channel up till now. You know what I'm saying? From camera angles to lighting and all that other stuff. So things have changed over the past year, and it's like steady growth. You know what I'm saying? Like I love organic growth. And the reason that it came to that is that I had a whiteboard. I no longer have it over here, but due to rearranging the room and all that stuff. But on the whiteboard, I physically wrote down all the things I wanted to do for 2025, 24, 23, or whatever the case would be when it came down to this channel, this company, and how I was running it, what the goals are, what should we do differently going into the space, right? So, and I could say about 85% of that got done. Like 85% of it got done. And that's because you write it out. You write it out and you make it plain. That's what you do. It's a biblical scripture. You write it out and make it plain, especially when you got plans to do certain things. So I will tell you, there will be a slight change when it comes to things, and I'm still working on this, is that, yes, we are still covering comic book content. So don't even trip by that. Like, we still doing that. And I know you noticed in the past week or two that I haven't dropped any like comic book content throughout the week, like during the week. And it's a collection of things, right? One of the things is that it hasn't really been anything I really want to sink my teeth into or something that I really want to cover and put it on the channel. And be like, I don't know, because I'm more concerned with quality over quantity. And I know I'm pumping out like 2-3 videos a week or whatever the case may be, and like running myself ragged. But those are comics that I actually was interested in. Those are comics that I actually did like. But over the past 2 weeks, over the past 2 releases, past 2 Wednesdays, it haven't been anything I really wanted to like or was interested in or want to cover, because I know you as the viewer looking at me covering the content, you're going to tell when I don't have an interest in something. Now, you definitely going to tell that. Definitely going to tell that. But this week we got 2 upcoming comics that I'm definitely going to talk about later on in the show. And when we're going to be back and up and running, and full steam ahead with that. Also the past 2 weeks, obviously it's been Christmas, and obviously it's been New Year's, it's been the holidays, and my fiance and kid was here, and making sure they were entertained, when they come down to visit and everything else in between. So obviously we've been catching up on Stranger Things. Yes, there will be a show on Stranger Things. Okay, there will be a show on Stranger Things. I want to give it its just due. I do feel like that we should give it a show on its own, like discussing like the different nuances of Stranger Things. And I got the perfect person for that. I got the perfect person for that. Hopefully she's seen Stranger Things because she is a film geek. So and she's actually a friend of the channel. She's been on the channel before. Staying Like a Bee. We definitely did that. So at some point in time, we definitely want to do Stranger Things. We definitely want to cover Stranger Things as far as the film side of it. Speaking of film side of it, for this year, 2026, not only will we be covering like comic book content, I'm definitely want to dive into the film space, like the series space, like talking about cinematography and stuff like that. And I can say it's a little bit of inspiration, right? I know some of you guys follow Straw Hat Goofy. Shout out to Straw Hat Goofy, and like his love for film, and Stoney the Great. Shout out to Stoney the Great. Yeah, and he like his covering films because he's a horror aficionado. And I'm like, man, you know what? I should jump into this space because I feel like in this space, especially in like Black culture, I've noticed this. I've noticed this on TikTok, and I noticed this on Reels and stuff like that. When it comes to talking about film and like breaking down film and how things are being shot or whatever the case may be, and like the inner nuances or the hidden messaging within like certain movies and series, typically it's in the Black space where I see that. You know what I'm saying? Now maybe it's my algorithm, but typically it's a black space where I see it. So I'm like, man, maybe I should jump into that space too. So with this channel, not only will we be covering comic book content, we definitely be covering film content, like talk about certain films or whatever the case may be. So that is the goal for 2026. Also to our patrons and to the readers of the magazine, I know you noticed over the past couple months, there hasn't been a new issue of Orange Phoenix magazine. It is not discontinued. Okay. Let me say that it is not discontinued. We just took a little bit of a break over the holidays. Yes, we do drop issues like every other month. And I talked to my staff earlier this week as far as what we want to do. And yes, Orange Phoenix magazine will return this year. Okay. Very soon, by the way, very soon. Orange Phoenix magazine will be making its grand return. And yes, it will make its return on our Patreon subscribers, and it will return on Amazon. So you can actually get a single issue if you don't want to subscribe and stuff like that. So things we want to do as far as marketing and all the other stuff. So now that we got that house cleaning out the way, typically I start off by saying, yo, these are the comments that I got. I haven't had a chance to visit my LCS in the past couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? But I do have some comic book news for you guys, right? And just like the thumbnail says, the future of comics in 2026. We're going to talk about that. And also the top 9 best-selling comics of 2025. So we're definitely going to be talking about that, which some may surprise you. Some may surprise you, some not so much, because we definitely talked about this on Saturday Morning Comics ad nauseum. We definitely talked about some of these comics, but some of them may come off as a bit of a surprise. Also, we're going to talk about new upcoming comics that I'm looking forward to and how Marvel can get back on its head, because this Age of Revelation was garbage. It was garbage. That's just what it was. It was garbage. It was garbage. Wasn't worth reading, except for Rogue Storm, except for Unbreakable X-Men, because I'm a fan of Moreira and Gail Simone. So not discrediting any other writers, because I know they were at the mercy of editorial, at the mercy of Marvel, and they was forced to not discontinue, put a halt to the main continuity books to focus on this event. And we going back into Shadows of Tomorrow, but we definitely gonna jump into that and all that good stuff. And also an appearance of a Marvel character that we haven't seen since 2024. Definitely gonna be covering that as well. So let's get into The future of comics in 2026. Now, you go back to 2025. And this is one of those things where Diamond Distributors. Now, if you're not familiar with Diamond Distributors, if you go to your LCS, Diamond is really the distributor that you hear about a lot. If not, that's the only distributor that you hear about. And these are the people that provide comics to the comic book stores and distributes or whatever the case may be. But Diamond went into bankruptcy, right? And people were concerned, people that's not like delved into the space, like hardcore in depth, that know about the different distributors out there. The only one they know of is Diamond. They, some of these people, as far as the consumer base, kind of went into a panic a little bit. And it was like, what's going to happen? But there are other distributors that were out there, and here are some of them. Now, one of them is Penguin Random House, and it's the primary distributor for major publishers such as Marvel Comics, DC Comics, graphic novels, collected editions, Dark Horse, and IDW Publishing. The other one is Lunar Distribution, which is became a primary distributor for DC periodical single issues shortly after DC left Diamond in 2020. So a lot of people didn't know that. Well, some people didn't know that DC left Diamond, and later added Image Comics. So Lunar is also part of the distributor base. The other is Universal Distribution, which is a Canadian distributor that acquired Diamond's Alliance Game Distributors division and is expanding its comic distribution into the U.S. market, including global distribution deal with DC. And also Populum, which is this company acquired the remaining assets of Diamond Comic Distributors and Diamond Book Distributors and Diamond Select Toys, though many publishers have since left the new Diamond. So, jumping into what Bleeding Cool News has said. All right, so now it says that it's been a hell of a year in comics on the side of Diamond Comic Distributors, and bankruptcy stripped money out of the industry. First, from publishers owed money from distributed comics, then publishers who continue to work with Diamond's new owners and remain unpaid, which that goes into, hey, why did they leave? Why did they leave the space? So that's one thing. So it's kind of hard to ask somebody to stay and you ain't gonna pay them, unless they voluntarily say, excuse me, you know what, don't pay me right now, let's keep the ball rolling, we got to get these comic books out, or whatever the case may be. That's not the case. And then from consigned comic stock held into limbo, losing value, by the way. But on the other hand, comic book stores did better as Absolute, Ultimate, and Energon projects continued to bring in cash. We definitely talked about this, I would say about last month or so, when it came down to the marketing of comic books and how blind bags came back and all this other stuff. Now, also to contribute to the boom of comic books, especially this year, is the crossover events. Now, it did say that Marvel DC crossover soared to the top of the charts, and the blind bags, to call it themselves. But what of 2026? Now, I will say the blind bags was a great idea. I went out my way to get some blind bags. I went out my way to get some crossover events as well, because it's been some years since Marvel and DC did a crossover event. Like last time they did a crossover event, it was definitely in the 90s. It was definitely in the 90s when they had Marvel versus DC, and I want that book so bad. I do want that omnibus to have those collection of comics in there, obviously with the exception of the most recent one. But still yet, though, those blind bags, the crossover events, the Absolute universe, the Energon universe, when it came down to the comic book industry, definitely put comic books back on the map. Okay, so it's like Diamond never existed. It's like Diamond never existed. Even though Diamond went bankrupt as far as distribution and all the other stuff, again, that never stopped the momentum that is comic books, and the momentum's still going. Now, it's a little bit of a lull right now. Especially on the Marvel side of things with Age of Revelation. Like I'm gonna still remain a critic of Age of Revelation, and somewhat of the DCKO event, right? Because we were led to believe that DCKO was supposed to be one thing and it's actually another thing, and immediately I lost interest. And I know some people are like that too. That you know what, I was lied to. we was told that this was going to be like a tournament art, but it's not a tournament art. This is something totally different, that's starting off. Either way it goes. Back to it. It says Christina Meckler of Lunar Distribution of the Off Panel Podcast says, I felt really good about coming into this year. Now, I've seen some of what Image has planned. I've seen some of what DC has planned, and I think people are going to be very happy what we're going to see in 26. I think some people have learned some lessons over the years, and every single publisher was affected by Diamond's bankruptcy. But I think it's kind of like what the pandemic did to us, right? You start to evaluate things. You realize the things, maybe some of the mistakes you made and some of the things you overlooked, and it gives people a new perspective on how they should run their business. And I think we are going to be stronger in 2026. Now, I am a strong proponent of that. I am a very strong proponent of that, meaning that when COVID hit, it put the world on pause. It put the United States on pause. And a lot of people realize, especially with COVID, that you just being in your house, because when you were in the house and you're not moving and shaking, and you're not in your usual routine or going out or whatever, you stop and think about things. You stop and think about, oh, well, I don't need this job. I can run my own business. I can start my own business. I could do this. I could be my own boss. I could do this and that and the third. And people working from home, and how the way of life is different working from home versus working into a workplace setting, because sometimes you want to punch your coworker in the face. So, but there's some people that during COVID, that would happen. I like, we like working from home. I like being in my own element, and also multitasking in the house and doing what the things I need to do to be around my family more or whatever. Just be present, right? So that what brought on a new wave of thinking with COVID, right? Also, to comic book standpoint, it gave people time to reevaluate things, especially with Diamond going bankrupt. Because when Diamond went bankrupt, it led to a lot of evaluation to some other things and new ways to actually put comics out there and how we can market better than just leaning on Diamond. Even though we had these other distributors that are out there. So also, it's from Joanna Pryor, CEO of Pan Macmillan, told Bookseller 2026 is set to be a landmark year. Readers will continue to flock to graphic novels, with the market expanding to include YA readers as core fans age up. While Sarah Benton and Jonathan Perdoni, co-CEOs of Bonnier Books of UK, told them we are living in a whirlwind attention economy, and those attention spans are becoming even more stretched. We are expecting more immediate pitches to meet this demand, with short stories, escapist genres such as dark romance, horror fiction, and particularly graphic novels likely to benefit. Now, remember what I was talking to you about Global Comics, and how Global Comics have like a whole slew of independent comics that you may be interested in? Because for people that have not read comics in a long time, or haven't read comics at all because they got a preconceived notion of what comic books is, Global Comics will change your perspective a little bit, because there's some comic books that actually are shows that are coming out in 2026, going into 2027, shows that has been out in 2025, or whatever the case may be, because everybody loves The Boys, right? That's on Amazon Prime, but not a whole lot of people know that's a comic book. You love The Boys though, but it's a comic book. You catch what I'm saying? So, and I know there's another show called Criminal, which is also a comic book by Ed Brubaker. So I think it will help a great deal if you just go to like the Global Comics and stuff like that and just read some of this stuff. And she does have a point. Joanna does have a point. Like, I feel like attention spans is getting stretched out just a little bit more as far as the consumer base is concerned. I did see a stat on my social media feed where the younger generation, there's been a increase in alcohol sales, because the younger generation are not drinking. Like, they're just not doing it. They're concerned about clean living, or living longer, or healthy lifestyles, because there's more healthy alternatives, or whatever the case would be. Or they're just going to weed. They might be going to that. And they might be going to the fun plant, and which is, it's better to do that than to drink. I definitely tell you that. You trying to kill your liver? Nah. But either way, there's changes that are happening, especially with our current generation on down to our younger generation. It's the way of life is different, and yes, the attention spans is a little bit stretched out. I think other than the older generation that just get easily fooled by AI and stuff like that, are not easily fooled by the people that are the future of, the future of this world. Like, oh, well, we know that's AI, so we can't get fooled by that, stuff like that. So anyway, back to it. It says Henry Barras told Beat that the biggest comics industry story in 2026 would be, I say, this year after year, union. The first ever union protecting the people that make comics is desperately needed. If not a union, a guild. Why Dave Elliott sees it as who ends up with DC after the sale of WB, and Jimmy Aquino observed that PRH distribution will raise prices to make up to $9 million that Diamond won't be paying. It's unclear yet whether they will soak vendors, stores, and both. And Steve Morris of 2000 AD says potentially we'll see internationally minded companies working out how they can escape the current American monopoly mindset. So to this point, what is the future of DC? So WB is going to Netflix, and I did see an article saying that Netflix saying any Warner Brothers property will be released to theaters for 17 days and then go to streaming services. Hold on for a second. Let me put a pin in that for a second. So we just had Stranger Things, right? We just had Stranger Things. It was in the movie theaters, sold the fuck out, sold out. Okay, sold out. And if you missed out on the theatrical release or going to the theaters to see the series finale of Stranger Things, you did miss out. I'm one of those ones that missed out because I was not able to get a ticket because it was sold out almost after Thanksgiving. Like, it was very difficult to actually get a seat or whatever the case may be. But this is a Netflix show. This is a Netflix original, right? This is a Netflix original. And how much money they made over 2 days of series finale of Stranger Things in the movie theater, which I don't think, if I read it correctly, I don't think Netflix get any of that, but which is weird. Either way it goes, if you are the CEO of Netflix, that should tell you straight up, theaters is not dead. Like, the movie industry is not dead. Like, by no stretch of the imagination. And Mark says he didn't even know there was he didn't even know about a theatrical finale. Yeah, there's a theatrical finale, man. And that thing was sold out. Sold out to high heaven, man. And it was crazy. So that should be a testament to Netflix. That should be telling you that maybe we should have these movies in theaters a little bit longer than 17 freaking days. Now, granted, there are some properties that 17 days is cool. That 17 days is okay. And it's not going to do more than what it needs to in 17 days. Right? Okay. Give it 3 weeks, man. Like, just give us an extra week, because when you really think about this, now, this can work two ways. This can build up demand for going to the movie theaters, because, like, I got to go to the movie theaters right now because this is not going to stay in the movies long, because this thing going to be on Netflix and I am not going to enjoy it as much. You catch what I'm saying? That it could be one of those things that you could create a demand to go to the movie theater more frequently, right? Like, you go during debut times, right? Like, you go during that time period. So it can raise that. That can be the goal. Now, when it came out of Superman, I can't imagine Superman, especially the new Superman movie and Supergirl movie, to come out and it's only going to be out in the movie theater for 17 days. I do not see that happening. I can't see that. I don't want to see that happen, because as big as a movie these are, then you need more days. Also, on the flip end of this is that you can easily torpedo the movie industry, because there's some people that are just lazy. They're like, you know what? I'm going to just wait till it get on Netflix. And then that single-handedly kills the movie industry. That kills the theatrical releases or whatever the case may be. Like, you don't want to do that. So when it came down to Warner Brothers, to be honest with you, Warner Brothers shouldn't sell themselves anyway. Like, they were fine just where they were. Like, they were fine with HBO Max. They were fine where they were. Like, they weren't struggling. Not to my knowledge, they was not struggling. So why would you do that? And it's almost like the lesser of two evils, right? If it was up to me, if they had to go somewhere, I would say like NBC, like Peacock. I would definitely do that route. I would do that route, right? But the more evil one was Paramount Plus. Like, and y'all know why that was needed, because if WB went to Paramount, then they will basically take over the news stations or whatever the case may be, where you just have a single entity. It will be a serious monopoly, to the point where Paramount offered even more money than Netflix did to say, man, listen, here you go. Here's this money right here, and take this. And WB's like, nah, we ain't gonna do that, dog. We're gonna stay over with Netflix. Now, what does that mean for DC? We don't know. We don't know what that does to DC. DC has been hitting it high when it comes to the comic book industry. James Gunn, Peter Safran doing what they do best with the comic books. Movies, Superman did very well. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is going to do very well. So DC, as far as a movie property, is looking good, right? It's looking very good. And Mark says, if movie theaters want to thrive again, lower the motherfucking concession prices. I should have to pay $6 for a bottle of water. Absolutely. Now, I will say though, those concessions is a choice. It's a choice. You know what I mean? That's all I'm gonna say. It's a choice. It's a choice. No concession prices are high. And I've noticed what Regal has done. I know what AMC has done. Like with Regal, they give you like the special popcorn cans. Because I got a Guardians of the Galaxy one. I got a Ghostbusters, Ghost Catcher one, or whatever the case may be. So they are selling like these special popcorn tins. And that's kind of like a marketing thing, right? I'm a huge moviegoer, right? I love going to the movie theaters. I love the experience, whether it's AMC with the recliners or Regal with the leather seat. Because even though Regal does have like the recliners, but I know here where I'm at, the closest movie theater is with Regal, has like the leather seats and, you know, the RPX experience, right? I got to go into the city to do the recliner stuff, which either way it goes, it's cool. It's cool. The whole movie experience is cool. And hopefully, you know, the movie industry is not dead when it comes down to theatrical releases, because this bubble can pop just like the AI bubble. The AI bubble can pop just the same. So back to it. Rich Johnston of Bleeding Cool, it says, hang on, that's me. Sees 2026 as the comic book industry reaping the whirlwind of the launch of Dogman by Dab Pikey in 2017, whose first readers are now 16 or 17 and buying Absolute Batman, or at least some of them. And we will see the impact across comics industry of those readers graduating to the comic book shop over the next few years in increasing ways, while the upcoming threat of loss of trademark ownership for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Robin, the Joker, Captain America, Namor, and the Human Torch will see Marvel and DC allow crazier and more creative takes on their crown jewels before they lose them. Absolute was just the start. The blind bag was a loot crate of 2025. What way will the industry find to add a zero to print runs this year? Will DC be able to launch an even more compact line to squeeze more money out of Watchmen? Will Marvel work out what to do with the X-Men ahead of their return in the movies next Christmas? Will DC Comics finally push the Alan Grant, Frank Quitely, Lobo story in their Black Label line ahead of Supergirl movie? Will Vertigo soar or slip? Will Divided Free Comic Book Day / Comic Books Giveaway Day be its death knell? Will there be more comic stores at the end of 2026 than at the beginning? What will happen to consigned comic book store stock at Diamond? One thing I will say though, when it comes down to the comic book industry, is that there are comic book stores everywhere, like hidden comic book stores everywhere. And And I'm also a strong proponent of taking, the younger generation out to comic book stores. And I encourage you guys to do this. When you go to a comic book store, right, and you see a kid in the comic book store and they're just looking around or whatever the case may be, you don't even got to know the kid. You don't even got to know the kid. Just buy them a random comic book and say, hey, you want this? Come with me to the cash register or whatever and get you this comic book. You know what I'm saying? Like, expand their imagination. Make sure it's a little, make sure it's a kid-friendly comic book, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the age or whatever. Because, do something nice for somebody. Like, do something nice for somebody in the LCS. Like, make sure it's like an open space for consumers to come in and they say, you know what? The comic book store is okay. This is a place that I can actually chill and hang out and just talk shop, talk about different various comics or whatever the case may be. Like, you do that. So I highly encourage you to do that. I think that there will be more comic book stores opening across the U.S., right? I think there will be. Especially, shout out to Cheyenne. The comic shop, if you haven't seen that on YouTube, go ahead and check that out on YouTube. It's basically a comedy series of comic book store owners that is Black owned. So definitely want to check that out. If you love Abbott Elementary, if you love The Office and shows like that, the comic shop is that style of comedy. And it's actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty damn good. And if you look in the background, there's some legitimate comics that's in the background of it, and people are reading them and whatever the case would be. So yes, the comic shop on YouTube. Shout out to you. Shout out to Cheyenne, man. Shout out to the creator of that gem of a show. Now it's that we got 2026 out the way. We got to talk about some of the best-selling comics of 2025, man. Some may surprise you. Man. This is also according to Bleeding Cool News. And I'm pulling that up just momentarily. Just give me a minute. Yeah, we got 9 best-selling comics. Now, it says that these are the top 9 best-selling comics in comic book stores of the year, according to Comic Hub data. Deadpool Batman #1 was the best-selling comic of the year from Marvel Comics, with the sequel from DC Comics, Batman/Deadpool #1, selling 3/4 of that, and the use of blind bags for Batman. KO and the comic that started the trend, Battle Beast, which I do have a blind bag of Battle Beast, haven't opened that thing yet, haven't done it, is marked with the asterisk as that rally seems to be sales tool of 2025, just like what we talked about last time. Now, even if Ultimate Endgame #1 has suffered issues, has not made the chart in the final day of the year, Batman #1 by Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez, listen, is in second place, sold twice as many copies as the Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, Hush 2 event, launch issue Batman #158. Now, the absolute titles were blind bagless, with Absolute Batman #5, #15, and Absolute Flash #1 making the top 9. And Scott Snyder writes 3 and a bit of the top 9. Now, this one right here, Batman #1. Now, we definitely have been covering that on the channel. Batman issues #1, 2, 3, and there's a playlist for that Batman line. And really do love that take on Batman. It's a brighter Gotham. Batman is a little bit more personable in this. Love the costume. I love the explanation of the Bat gadgets that's in the comic as well, because any Bat gadget that Batman uses, there's a little box that tells you what that gadget is, what it does, and that's really, really cool. Obviously, there's detective elements in it. Obviously, there's action in it, and the Minotaur is one of the new villains in Batman, and this man is a problem. He is a serious problem. If you haven't seen that video of the latest Batman introducing a new villain, go ahead and check that out on my channel. Now, the Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, Hush 2 event. I want to say I did the first issue of this, and this one right here. It was okay. Couldn't sink my teeth into it. Couldn't do it. But this right here, I knew this was going to sell like hotcakes. This is going to sell out hotcakes. Battle Beast for sure, because a lot of people wanted a Battle Beast solo series. And yes, there is a Battle Beast solo series. I actually have the, I won't say the compendium, but the graphic novel of Battle Beast. Really good, start to finish. Really good, start to finish. Got my reservations about DCKO because I feel flammed. I feel bamboozled. I feel bamboozled. This right here, the Joker, right? Do have this comic really good because everybody wanted to know about Absolute Joker in this Absolute universe. This man is a problem. This man is a huge problem. A huge problem. Absolute Flash #1. I have not picked up Absolute Flash as a series, but I heard nothing but great things about Absolute Flash. I will be catching up on some of the Absolute series because I fell back on Absolute Green Lantern. It not to say that it wasn't good. It was really good. It's just other comics caught my attention at the time, but I'm jumping back on Absolute Green Lantern. I'm jumping back on Absolute Superman. And obviously I'm still tracking Absolute Batman, but Absolute Flash is definitely on the list. But that's where we at, because notice now, DC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Notice this is all DC. This is all DC. Like DC has dominated, like except for the Marvel DC crossover event, but that was a crossover event with DC, right? But Marvel as a solo has not cracked this top 9. This is crazy, right? So Marvel, you might want to get off your ass. You know what I mean? You might want to get off your ass because DC has been dominating. They have been dominating. It says that last year saw a chart dominated with Absolute titles, but also Ultimate and X books, notably absent from this list this year. The year before that was all Batman with Little Amazing Spider-Man and Void Rivals. Now, here's the list right here. Deadpool Batman, Batman #1, Matt Fraction, Batman / Deadpool, Invincible Universe Battle Beast. Image is #4. Image is #4. The Invincible Universe Battle Beast is #4. Out of the whole shebang, #4. DCKO. Matter of fact, look at this right here. This here over to DCKO, Batman 158, Absolute Batman #15, Absolute Flash #1, and Absolute Batman #5. That's a testament. That's a testament right there. That is something to be proud of. That is something to be proud of. Especially this one right here when it came down to introduction of Absolute Joker. I thought this thing was going to shoot up to at least number 2 or 3. At least 2 or 3. Because we've been teased about Absolute Joker. We seen Absolute Evil. I covered Absolute Evil on the channel. We talked about Absolute Bane and how Joker has somewhat of an impact on Absolute Bane. Yeah, still yet. It's what it is. Now it says this is Bleeding Cool bestseller list as combined by over 100 named direct market comics titles from their sales from Wednesday to Saturday. Wednesday Warriors, the chart is compiled from actual sales data from 120 to 150 comic book stores provided by Comic Hub, which provides POS services for comic retailers worldwide, mostly in North America and the UK. There are typically from what might be called mid-range stores, and we run a bunch of them below. Now you got Full Color Fantasies, Comic Shop, Alter Ego Comics. Oh, I wonder if Heroes and Dragons is wait. Heroes Beacon, Heroes for Sale. I got excited. I thought Heroes and Dragons was on here. I got excited. Okay, let's see. Cosmic Comics. Okay. Who else is in here? You know what? Okay. So 3 of my comic book stores is not on here. 3 of my comic book stores is not on here. But that's to tell you, off rip, that's a testament of what the comic book industry has been consistent of. It's been DC and Marvel. Not to say Marvel hasn't been dropping some gems. You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely been dropping some gems. Especially with Uncanny X-Men, right? Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone. If you have not read that run, please read that run. And I know they took a break because it is this Age of Revolution. Age of Revelation. I know they took a break because of that, and not their fault. But they're jumping back on Uncanny X-Men, jump back on Adjective List X-Men, and hopefully we get some X titles that's worth something. that going back out there. I know Gail Simone is putting that out there. Storm, straight up, Storm by Marewa is top to bottom. I could tell you right now, the last Storm issue that I dropped on the channel got the most views out of any comic book that I covered in the channel, and that's saying something. That, like, people are banging with the Storm solo series. I am for sure. When it comes down to Marewa and Gail Simone, what they do with Uncanny X-Men and Storm, I'm in there 110%. 110%. Like, I know it doesn't show on this list, but Marvel does have some gems. Okay, let's not forget that they got some gems out there. And now that we getting back into some state of normalcy and we getting away from Age of Revelation, we're gonna jump into some other things as well as far as Marvel. We're definitely gonna be covering some Marvel properties. Now, speaking of Marvel properties, man, these are some of the comics that I will be covering, man. So hold on just one second. I'm gonna pull this up. All right, so it says next Wednesday, which is this coming Wednesday. All right, this coming Wednesday. Next Wednesday sees the launch of Shadows of Tomorrow, the new publishing art to follow Rise from the Ashes, an Age of Revelation event with X-Men number 23 by Jed MacKay, Tony Daniel, and Wolverine number 14 by Saladin Ahmed, Martin Coccolo. As history is changed, the Cyclops from the future possesses the one from the present. Just as he's about to welcome Doug Ramsey, Revelation, to the X-Men, we saw how this event changed the world the first time around. So this guy right here is really the main like villain in Age of Revelation, if you want to call him that. And Cyclops' future self came back to his present self in his mind to warn him, like, hey, don't shake that man's hand. Go ahead and take this man out immediately because this is not good. This is not good at all. So, but it says, but in the last issue of X-Men from September last year, it ended differently as it now begins. So I don't know, y'all remember this? Y'all seen this, right? Y'all know this is a meme, right? This is a meme right here, which is crazy. I like that little callback. I like that callback to the meme there. Obviously, the artwork looks phenomenal. And that's what started Age of Revelation here. Now, this time calling up on backup from the Beast, it shows this is a possession right here. And he immediately attacks Revelation. Immediately. He's like, just like we planned it, Hank. So Hank also was part of this future tense. Now, of course, we all know Hank didn't make the trip. At least this Hank didn't. So what I mean by that is that obviously Cyclops is in prison this whole time. Now it says, Hank, Quanon, Max, anyone. And he's like, Scott, you know, you sound almost like yourself again. He's like, back. Scott, I never went anywhere. I've been here watching over you while your future self caused chaos. He's like, no, Hank, you were there with me in the future. He's like, Scott, you attacked Doug. We had to restrain you. You called me a traitor. He's like, no, but then who was with me? It was the Hank McCoy from Krakoa, the fascist mad scientist, somehow still knocking around. So what y'all need to know about Hank McCoy in the Krakoa age, that man was a stupendous problem. Like, this man has done some mad scientist experiments on Wolverine, other characters. You don't want to be around this beast, okay? Yeah, keep in mind, I know y'all know Beast as being like the gentle giant type person, and you know he wanted her to fly, but nah, not this Beast. Nah, this man is a genius, geneticist, and all kinds of stuff. So if it's something that he want to knock around, we talking. I would dare say he probably worse than Mr. Sinister. Like he worse than Mr. Sinister, man. Very manipulative. He's still knocking around, and it says, and this is that beast. He was like, because I brought such interesting data back from my unexpected jaunt into the future, a future that we can remake in our own image, as I tried to do before Krakoa fell. An X virus. Oh my stars and garters. So look, and dubbing himself the chairman of the mutant terrorist group 3K. But as for Wolverine and Wolverine number 14, barely seems to be suffering any shadow of tomorrow. He just seems to be all about the present and certain Marvel character that we have not seen since 2024. And that Marvel character is no other than Silver Sable. Now, Silver Sable last appearance was Venom War Lethal Protector number 3. That was like November 20th, 94, if I'm not mistaken. And she could have made other guest appearances, but I haven't seen anything, nothing as of significance. Now, she did have a solo run, and the solo run, like Silver Sable and the Wild Pack, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was in the 90s, 92, 94-ish, that time frame, but she will make her appearance in Wolverine issue number 14. Now, I did take a step back a little bit from Wolverine, so that's another comic that I'm gonna definitely catch up on to get myself ready for this new run. These are the 2 new comics that I'm going to be covering this coming week. Okay, this coming week I'm definitely going to be covering these. Can't wait to jump into those, and we're gonna be back up and running. Just like what I said earlier in the show, that we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back. There's some comics coming out that really is worth the while. Quality over quantity, people. Quality over quantity. And here's her line. She's like, "I know you, the Wolverine. I would have thought you protecting these people, not hunting them. I suppose it doesn't matter though. They've retained my services to keep intruders out." Now, she goes one-on-one with Wolverine. That's not a good fight. Silver Sable is very capable. Okay, she's very capable, but I don't know about like taking out Wolverine. All right, so now for those that don't know much about Silver Sable, I'm gonna pull up a little bit of information on the young lady. So just give me a quick second and what she specializes in, because she's definitely a little bit of a problem here. Like she's done. Now I will say, if you should be familiar with her in Spider-Man the animated series, because she did make an appearance there in Spider-Man the animated series. She did make guest appearances on other stuff like Amazing Spider-Man and stuff like that. So she's very much capable. Now, let's see here. Just give me one quick second here. All right, here we go. Silver Sable, man. Silver Sable has an indomitable will. Silver Sable has an indomitable will. She has been shown resisting the worldwide psychic manipulation of the goddess to retain her sensibilities. She has also easily defied a telepath's attempt to alter her mind by sheer force of will, and uses meditation forms to resist mind control. So that right there enough. So I think the Punisher has that same ability. That's not a superhuman ability. That's just straight human will. Master martial artist, and Silver Sable is an extraordinary hand-to-hand combatant and martial artist. Firearms. She is an expert marksman capable of using different types of firearms. Swordsmanship. He's an expert swordsman. Gymnastics. She is also an accomplished gymnast with peak human agility. Her strength, speed, durability, and reflexes are exceptional for a human, and she managed to stalemate the Punisher by withstanding his blows and using her quicker reflexes. Leadership. She is also an accomplished leader and strategist capable of rapidly assessing strengths and weaknesses of her foes. She is multilingual in 7 languages. She's fluent in English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Russian, and Somali, and Samkarian. And Silver Sable can also windsurf. Now, despite nearing the peak of human physical and mental ability, Silver Sable is still only human. She must constantly watch for knives and gunfire and can easily be overwhelmed by a truly superhuman opponent. Now, as far as her equipment, Silver Sable's costumes often have a protective Kevlar lining. After being incapacitated in ends of the earth, Silver began to use life model decoy as an avatar. And she often carries a chai, throwing daggers, taser, custom-made guns, and a sword. And she has the access to nearly any weapon she would need for a mission. And she uses a jetpack. She's an awesome character, man. She is an awesome character. And going over, her real name is Savia Sublanova. And she is a mercenary diplomat and sovereign of the kingdom of Samkiria. Trained from childhood by her father, Ernest Slobodnov, she inherited command of the Wild Pack and reshaped it into Silver Sable International. Corporate empire funding Samkiria through global operations, and Sable became known for her discipline and tactical brilliance, often working with or against superheroes depending on her contracts, most notably Spider-Man, with whom she shares a lasting bond. She recruited agents such as Sandman, Amy Chen, Raw Quintino, Crippler, Dove Power, and Battlestar, and also organized a former gang of villains into the Outlaws. Believed killed during the battle with Dr. Octopus, she survived with the aid of the Foreigner, who used life model decoys to cover her absence. She later returned to confront Countess Krakow, Norman Osborn, Dr. Doom, and Orchis. During the Venom War, she reactivated the Wild Pack and became bonded with the Agony symbiote as the Silver Symbiote. So, I will say about her character, I think it would do nicely if Silver Sable had her own comic book run. I don't care if it's like a limited series. Like, let it be a limited series. Just see how it runs. You know what I mean? Just see how it runs. Or you can give it the manga treatment. Like, do like a one shot of Silver Sable and see how much traction that gets, right? But a limited series of Silver Sable and her exploits and what she does and how she does, how she does certain things, how she take out certain characters, I feel like that will be really, really good. Or her and Black Widow, something. I feel like Silver Sable would do pretty damn good in the comic industry. I feel like I will read it. I will cover it. I would do that. I would do all those things. But Silver Sable will be in a new Wolverine comic. There will be a new X-Men. Let me see. What was it? X-Men number 23. Yeah, X-Men number 23. So very anxious to see what exactly is going to go on with this with J. McKay and Wolverine number 14. I'm so glad that we are away from Age of Revelation because I'm just glad. I'm just glad. Like, let's not do this again for the next 7 years. Let's not do a time travel bit. Okay, let's leave that alone. Let's do some fresh new stories. Let this be a continuation. Yes, have certain events that happen, cool, sure, but not like a rehashing of something that we've read recently. You know what I mean? If you're going to rehash something, let it be something from like 15 years ago or something. Something that is kind of like a distant memory kind of thing, So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. But check it. That is our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. So this week we will be covering X-Men number 23. We will be covering Wolverine number 14. We will be back in effect. Okay. We'll be back in effect, and we'll be back, for more Saturday morning comics at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So just hang out there. So hit that like and subscribe button. If you are a newcomer, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. Orange Phoenix Magazine will be returning soon. There will be a Stranger Things type of show coming. I'm not sure when, but it will be coming very soon. We'll definitely get into the inner workings of Stranger Things and how things are working out as far as the film is concerned, and how this is not the end of Stranger Things. This is not the end. There's several spinoffs that's coming out. There's an animated spinoff that coming out on Netflix this year. So it's cool. It's cool. I know the series ended and everybody felt sad, and so I was included with that. But I think we're gonna be all right. I kind of want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't know if I got the bandwidth for it. I don't want to be a dungeon master. I tell you that. I don't want to do that. I don't know anybody that plays Dungeons and Dragons, but I feel like that could be a fun game, because Stranger Things has introduced everyone that watch Stranger Things to Dungeons and Dragons, or whatever the case would be. But we'll see. We'll see, man. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. So until next time, y'all. Peace.